So we're going to do the first one together, and then I will stop talking and let you work. So if anyone's watching the video, what's going to happen is I'm going to talk everyone through question one, and then the other ones I'm just going to write up as, as they finish. I would do the automatic stuff first, and let's just review. Exponential, and this is the way I remember it. See how the letter E has 3 horizontal lines in it? So that's the one that has the horizontal asymptote, and your domain is all reals. So that's your automatic answers. You want to enter those first. And then logarithmic, do you see how the L is literally a vertical line? That's the one with the vertical asymptote, and the range is all reals. And somebody in my other class brought this up. I thought this was clever. I'm always looking for new tricks. Can you shut the computer, please? Do you see how the word log has a G in it? And the word range has a G in it? So if that helps. Also, same person came up with this. Thought this was really clever. Do you see how exponential has an X in it? And X is for domain. Your domain is your X values. I don't know if any of that helps or if you have something better that let me know. But I liked the log has a G and range has a G. I feel like that helps. So, all right. Again, I'll talk you through all of number 1 and then you guys get to do your work. So transformations, there's 2 of them because I left you 2 blanks. What's going on with us? I heard, yeah, reflect over X. Good. That's hard, especially with exponentials, because for y-axis, the negative would be with the X in there. All right, and then up 2. So filling in the automatics. Oh, also, do you see that this is exponential? X is the exponent. And do you see that this one is exponential? X is the exponent. Then these 2 are the logarithmic ones. See how that says log and this says ln, which is a type of log? Okay. Here's the thing. If you draw a log graph for an exponential or an exponential for a log graph, there actually isn't a lot I can do to help you because it is fundamentally wrong. Do you get what I'm saying? So please try not to get it backwards. Also, and I will say this on the recording, the 2 on the front are exponential and the 2 on the back are logarithmic. Can you work with me? Because I get that it's hard. One is one way and one is the other. So I'm trying to make it as streamlined for you as possible. Okay. So for exponential, our domain is everything. Vertical asymptote is none. You will have a horizontal asymptote, which would be y equals 2. How come it's 2? Because it went up 2. Good. And then you can go ahead and dot that in. And then you should feel like, hey, look, I filled in a lot of stuff already. Go me. All right. Now we're going to make our little table. We're going to get 3 points. I want 3 points if possible. 1 point otherwise. If it's E, you can only get E or ln. You can only get 1 point because I'm not giving you a calculator. All right. So what do you want to try and plug in? I would try, well, I would do 0 to start with. So what is anything to the 0 power? 1. However, it's -1 plus 2, which is 1. Now, 1 is the next number I would want to think about. But 1/2 to the 1 is 1/2. And I don't want to plot a fraction. So instead of 1, 2, 3, we want to go, negative. Let's go backwards. Correct. And that's what we want, so we won't have a fraction anymore. So if you plug in -1, instead of 1/2, it's going to be 2. Good. Except it's -2 plus 2 is 0. And then let's do one more. If you plug in -2, the negative flips it, but you have to still do to the 2nd power. So 2, good, 4, but it's -4 plus 2 is -2. Now, when you plot those, it should make a swoop. If you don't get a swoop, you have done goofed. Just math is very much you can catch your mistakes because it won't look right. It won't make any sense. And if you are like, hey, that was kind of hard, make up a graph. and make all of your stuff match your graph. Then I can give you credit for all of the information, but make it an exponential or a logarithmic, like depending on which one it is, like make it make sense, okay? Range, you're gonna sweep downwards to upwards, so it'll be negative infinity to 2. What's our x-intercept? Yep, -1, 0. These both came out nice. 0, 1. But remember, like for the e and ln, sometimes you get 0, 2e to the 5th plus 7, you know, and just leave it alone. Yeah. All right, are we increasing or decreasing? Yeah. Increasing will be the domain, decreasing is none. One or the other of those is going to say none. And one or the other of the asymptotes is going to say none. You should have at least 2 none answers for all of these. All right, and then we're going to have limit x goes to negative infinity, f of x, and then limit x goes to positive infinity, f of x. It's the logarithmic ones where you have that weird, you know, one side you're fenced in. Yes, go ahead. Oh, okay, perfect. It's like I've been doing this a long time. You know what I mean? Know what the questions are going to be. All right, so where is your left arrow going? Down, negative infinity, and your right arrow goes to the asymptote, which is 2. It won't ever touch 2, it's behavior. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys alone. I'm going to pause the recording. If you're watching the recording, it's going to feel like no time passed, but I'm going to wait while everybody does number 2, and once it seems like everyone's done, I'll write up the answers, and then we'll do 3 and 4, same thing. I didn't have to say that. Oh, there's no exercise. Wait, why? Yeah, this is the x-axis and it just doesn't touch it, so there isn't one. You would set the whole equation equal to 0 and solve it. So why plug your x into the I really have one. Can you do that?
So here we have to make this a 1, the inside.
Yes. So you would want, yeah, you would want to plug it. Yeah, exactly. You do. Yes, and then 0 times anything is 0. Yes. What? What's the question when you get stuck? What's the base? All right, guys, if you want to watch me work through this one, I'm putting up your answers for number 3. So, what happened? Oops, that's not good.
So that would be going on -8.
You can do more than 3 points if you want to. That's the only way. It barely fits on there. It didn't move left or right at all. Oh, outside. All right, I can go to negative infinity and that arrow points up, so positive infinity. I can't go to positive infinity. Do you remember how we write this? 0 and it's from the negative side, like from the left, so we put a little negative in there. If it's from the right, you put in a little plus, and then that arrow goes downwards. For the logarithmic, one should go up and one should go down because your range is all reals. Now the x-intercept, do you see how there is one, but I don't know exactly what it is? I know it's going to be something 0. And so I've got a little space in here. I'm going to just take the entire equation and set it equal to 0. And then you just have a few steps of work. The x-intercept is the one you sometimes have to fight for a little bit. What would you do to both sides? Yep, subtract 1. And then when you're stuck, what's the question? What is the base number there? 2. It is 2 to the power -1 equals -x. Now, this is one of the things on your Quizlet. I'm going to just flip my pencil over and use the eraser. What is 2 to the -1? 1/2. Good. And then the easiest way to move over a negative is erase it and put it on the other side. So -1/2, comma 0. I don't know why I left all that space. All right, I'll leave this up here. I want you to try the last one and then I'll go over it. All right, so this last one, 3 transformations for this one. What do you think? All right, vertical shrink by a third. Good. Perfect. Reflect and good. Left 4. So range is everything. That's one of your automatics. And horizontal is none. And what is your vertical? X equals good, because it went left. Where there? See, you guys aren't stuck. You're good. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when I go to make my table, and we're only going to get 1 point here, you want to pick a number next to -4. This is where the asymptote is. So like, let's try -3. I think that's what's going to work. If you put in -3, you get ln of 1, which is 0, because e to the 0 power is 1. Or if you just want to memorize ln of 1 is 0. So look, this part is 0, and 0 times anything, so 0 times -1/3 is 0. I also did that to help you out, because what is this -3, 0? It's your x-intercept, and usually the x-intercept is pretty difficult to get. You have to actually do work for it, so I did that on purpose to help you. Yes, go ahead. Where'd I lose you?
How did you get, like, I don't know how you got the asymptote.
Well, the vertical asymptote's at -4. You got that. So I plugged in -3.
I probably heard it. But I know you can't because it's at -4. So how are you doing something? How are you doing something?
I'm not sure where I'm losing you. The vertical asymptote is at -4. So I plugged in -3. For example, if the vertical asymptote was at 7, what would we plug in? 6 or 8, probably 8. Do you see what I'm saying? ln of 1 equals 0. E to the 0 power is 1. That's no. This is at -4, so I plugged in -3. Let's make up another one. If the vertical asymptote was at 10, what would you plug in? 11. If the vertical asymptote was at -12, what would you plug in? -11. If the vertical asymptote was at 2, what would you plug in? 3. -3, 0. Does the graph go up or does the graph go down? Good. Why decreasing? It has a negative. That's it. All right, so what's your domain? Good. -4 onwards? Yeah, -4 to infinity. I just said onwards, sorry. Y-intercept. There is one. I don't have it plotted exactly, but how can I get it? Plug in 0, and whatever it is just whatever it is. So if you plug in 0 here, you get -1/3 ln 4. That's a number. If I typed that into a calculator, I would get some kind of decimal. I just don't know what it is without a calculator. right? Are we increasing or are we decreasing? Decreasing, copy over that domain. And then for the end behavior, can we go to negative infinity? No. The first or the furthest you can go is -4 from the right. You see how it's from the right side? If you're directionally challenged, which sometimes I am, put an L and an R. It's from the right side. I'm not joking. In AP Calculus, we do graphs where you have to know which one's on the left and which one's on the right. And I don't have a better explanation than look at it, but people struggled. So finally I was like, put an L and an R and it fixed all the problems. I don't know why, but it just worked. So do it. Yep, L and R. Okay. F of X. And then can we go to positive infinity? Yes. We're not fenced in that direction. Now, one of these should go up and one of them should go down. Your left arrow goes up, your right arrow goes down.